Hi, I'm bigcal and welcome to my world. So in the previous video we talked about Star Wars books. I talked about Darth Plagueis. It was a fantastic book. I highly recommend everyone who's a fan of Star Wars give it a read. If you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link somewhere here for you to click to view that video. If you're watching this on VidMe, then in the description below will be a link to that video. So today I want to talk about, of course, another Star Wars book. This one though is actually canon, and it is Star Wars Ahsoka. So the character of Ahsoka came into Star Wars via the Clone Wars TV show, well, first the movie and then the show, and she's the Padawan to Anakin Skywalker. She ends up leaving the Jedi Order, which is a shame. And while they did have more plans for her for another, if they had another season of Clone Wars TV show, they weren't able to do that. But they did bring her back in Star Wars Rebels, which is of course part of canon. So that's awesome. And of course we now have a book which is indeed canon and explains a lot of what happens to her in between Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. So Ahsoka is one of my favourite characters. I loved her in the TV shows, and when I found out there was a book, I bought it as soon as possible. I didn't even know it existed at first when I bought some of the other books, and then I found this one. It's like, yep, gotta have that. So I was slightly disappointed at first when I was reading this, because I was expecting them to talk about what happened to her straight after she left the Jedi Order, because the makers of the TV show have stated like what they were going to do with Ahsoka. They had it all planned out. She was still going to be in the show. She was going to be sort of like essentially a rebel, still helping out people but on her own terms, and then occasionally actually helping the Jedi Order and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. And I thought that's what this book was going to be based on. And it opens with her, going after Darth Maul and helping the Jedi, and the clone troopers in the battle. And we do get some flashbacks of that particular story. But for the most part, this takes place, after Order 66. So I was disappointed with that. But then I stopped caring about that because I loved what they were doing with the book anyway, and ended up reading this in less than 2 days. Which, not really that big of a feat, because while it does look like a thick book, the text is very large, especially compared to the other Star Wars books I've got. So while 2 days to read it seems pretty quick, very doable considering the size of the font on the pages. Anyway, the book starts off, well, like I said, with a flashback, but the actual current stuff in the book terms, she's on a planet, she's helping out, and she's like a technician or something helping out, and then get word that the Empire's come in. So she steals a ship and buggers off to another planet in hopes of evading the Empire and just not having anything to do with them. So she sets up on a farming planet, and again sets up as a technician. She repairs things, makes new friends there, and then of course the Empire end up coming to this planet because they basically want to turn everyone into slaves and harvest their own food for the Empire, use up all the land, make it unusable for the people afterwards, and then just bugger off and leave. So the people try to fight back, and as a result that leads to more troops coming, and the first instance of an Inquisitor showing up. Up until this point, I don't think Inquisitors were part of the law. And we know that they're in Rebels, but I think this was the first time they'd shown up in something prior to Rebels. Anyway, so an Inquisitor shows up and everyone goes into hiding, and they find out that Ahsoka's a Jedi, and she, tries to leave to save people, but it doesn't work, so she has to come back. It's just a really great story of Ahsoka finding herself after giving up the Jedi Order and all this, and trying to balance things. Should she go back and help these people, or should she just leave them, knowing that if she stayed, the Empire could send more and more people after her and hurt everybody else, and things like that. We also learn how she gets her two white lightsabers, which is pretty cool as well. And then it ends with her joining Bail Organa and becoming an actual rebel, and where the code name comes from that we see in Rebels that she goes by originally when she's just like a source. So it all leads up basically to the beginning of Star Wars Rebels, and it's, like I said, it's an absolute fantastic book. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. 2 days, it was easy to get through because large text for starters, but it was just so enthralling I couldn't put it down. I just wanted to keep going and keep going and keep going, and I was so upset when it ended because then it was ended and there was no more. So that is a shame. I would have liked it to have been a lot longer. I would have liked them to, instead of just doing a flashback to the little story where she's going after Maul, I would have liked it to have gone, to have multiple chapters of what she did right after she left the Order and still helping out Anakin and Obi-Wan, and how the relationships would have changed now that she wasn't in the Order. But for what we actually got, it was still really good, really cool, with the Inquisitor showing up in it, how she got the lightsabers, and how she becomes a true rebel in the end and sets up Star Wars Rebels. So again, an absolute fantastic Star Wars book. This one is canon, so I do once again highly recommend it, because, well, I don't think I would do a video on a Star Wars book if I didn't recommend it, unless it was so bad I had to shit on it for 10 minutes. Yeah, so Star Wars Ahsoka, highly recommended, in canon, fantastic, goes really well along with Clone Wars TV show and then Rebels as it goes in between. Pick it up. So, I'm bigcal, thanks for watching, I'll see you again next time.